industry for over 30 decades, and I've been teaching different ages of children. And now that is what is leading me to what I'm talking about today: differentiated learning strategies. Differentiated learning strategies is what we are talking about this afternoon. When we talk about differentiated learning strategies, what actually brought about this topic, this issue in the education industry? One of the things that brought about this issue in the education industry is that we discovered that children do not learn at the same pace, and children have different learning abilities. They have different learning abilities, which we need to attend to. And so we'll be having difficulties of children who are not performing well in the previous time. One, what is differentiation? What is differentiation? When we say differentiation, what do we mean by differentiation? Differentiation is just learning experiences where that is tailored with methods that is able to meet individual needs of the learner. Learning experiences which is tailored with method to meet with individual learners. We know, of course, that our learners are of different learning abilities. They are of different learning styles. Every child does not learn the same way. And that is what brought about differentiation. Differentiation, as you can see in the slide, is a learning experience where the method is adjusted to meet with the individual learner. And that is what teachers in 21st century education adopted, having to meet with every learner. Every learner has the right to learn. That's one thing you should take home as a teacher. Every learner in your class has the right to learn. And not only that, every learner has the potential to learn. It's just that when you see them not displaying knowledge or skill in whatever they are learning, is because we have not been able to meet them at their level. And that is what differentiation is all about. Meeting every learner at its level, treating every learner from its level. When you take that child from the level he is, you are able to get what you want. Now I want to look at what does differentiation aim at? What is the aim of differentiation? What is the aim of differentiated learning? Why do we need differentiated learning? One of the reasons for differentiated learning is what? Is to engage learners. When you have differentiated learning in the classroom, you are able to engage the learners, because each learner has where the level at which he is. And because the learner is having that, is in that, you are meeting the learner at that level. Every child in the classroom is engaged. So one of the importance or aims of differentiated learning is it engages the learner. It increases engagement in class. Every child is engaged at its level. We have children who are the higher level, who have higher potential, what we call the higher IQ. Okay, then we have the children of the average level, the average learner, and then we have the learner that is low. We call them we call them here the low level learner. We have the average or middle level learner, the higher level learner, and the low level learner. So when you use differentiation in your class as a teacher, you are able to engage every one of them. Why the higher level learner is given a task that is a little bit tasking, so that he will not just be noisy and because whatever you give to him, he has finished the GP. We have children like that. Once you just explain the concept, in a GP, whatever classwork you give to that child, the child will just finish. Whereas some children will be struggling there for 1 hour, sweating it out, they are not able to get it. So while you are with these other ones, I'm taking them at their pace. I will give examples of some of those things. as we continue. One another aim, another reason or importance of differentiated learning, which we can see from the slide, is that it supports, it improves learning outcome. It improves learning outcome. If you use the differentiated learning strategies, which will lead very soon, very soon, we'll come into that. If you use them, you'll find out that your learning outcomes will be improved. How? Because for each level, the child will understand better. The children at each level will understand better. And so because of that, it will be improved. Another thing again is that, like what I've said, that it increased engagement, and then it inspires the love for learning. I have had to experience that at one point in time when I was learning. The teacher was teaching, and everything he was teaching I didn't understand. I was struggling. It was in my university days. I was struggling to get it. And while other students in class, they just say, oh, I've gotten the answer. It was really frustrating. So when a child is struggling with his learning, it is usually very frustrating. But with differentiated learning strategy, there will be love for what learning, because at the level of that child, the child will be inspired to learn. Another thing is that it increases self-awareness. Wow, the child is self-aware. There is this increase in self-esteem for the child when you use differentiated learning strategies in teaching. Now, another question people may ask is this: if differentiated learning is so interesting and so sweet, has all these wonderful importance, like these wonderful benefits, how come teachers do not make use of differentiated learning in their classroom? I'll give you some reasons why teachers have been running away from differentiated learning. One of the reasons is, next slide please. Next slide. Okay, reasons why many teachers don't adopt differentiated learning. One is lack of training. Yes, if you don't train, you can only inspect what you train. Yes, you can only expect what you train, and you can only inspect what you train. If you don't train, there's no way the teacher will be able to give it back to you. Many teachers are not trained that way. We are still having that our traditional method of learning. And so that our traditional way of learning that we were taught in our NC days, in our university days, in the School of Education, those traditional ways do not have differentiated learning in them. And so if teachers are not trained, they don't receive proper professional training on it, or they do not go for personal development like what we are doing now. Teachers who are here, I really appreciate you. You are going for professional development. If you don't go for professional development, you might not be able to do this. And that's one of the reasons why teachers they've not adopted it. I'll bet it with you that so many teachers, a large percentage of teachers in Nigeria especially, do not even know what differentiated learning is. They don't even know about it. Then another reason why teachers don't adopt that in their classroom is that because of time constraints. They believe that when you involve children in differentiated learning, that means you will divide these children into groups or learning stations, which I'll talk about later. You divide them into groups, and this thing may take time. And here you are, the school wants you to cover up a particular skill at an allotted period of time. It will take time. And so because of the time constraints, they do not want to use it. Another reason is this: so many people teach schools in Nigeria, especially the government schools, have large class size. We are looking at a class where I was part of a training last week and we were training some government school teachers. And then we saw a particular instance where a teacher said he has about 150 learners in his class, in her class. Now tell me, the class is overcrowded, and so that thing might be a constraint to differentiated learning. Then another thing is standardized testing. Most of our exams, especially external exams, are standardized in nature. So when you are assessing people, learners using differentiated learning, you might not be able to use, they feel that when you do that, you might not be able to get what you want. Then parental expectations. Parental expectations. Parents want to see their children excel. You can imagine when you start having a parent or a neighbors around having children in the same class, and then they see that their children are assessed in different ways, they might raise eyebrows. These are many other things. We have things like limited resources. Teachers do not have adequate resources for it. We have environment. The environment itself does not agree to that. And so with all this, these are things, reasons why many teachers do not adopt differentiated learning in their classroom. But be that as it may, if we continue to look at excuses, we continue to dwell on excuses, we will not achieve anything. And just like one of my mentors in this industry always he tells me not to dwell on excuses. I shouldn't look out for excuses, but I should look out for results. And since she told me that thing, it has really helped me a lot. I don't look at excuses. Excuses will always remain there. But if I aim at my results, I always achieve a lot. And so I want to advise us this year present today that we shouldn't look at excuses, but instead we should look at results. The results, what are the things you stand to gain? And what are the children stand to learn so much and very fast? And believe that is the reason. Those are the results we can get. Then we can maneuver these reasons, and then we will now be able to adjust to get them. Now let's go into the business itself, the differentiated learning strategies. When I mean strategies, I mean steps, methods that we can use in differentiating learning. Differentiating learning, that is where you adjust your methods, you adjust your experiences, learning experiences, in order to meet individual learners at their various needs. One of the strategies we use, and I use personally, is assessment. When we are assessing them, how do you assess them? Okay, like I told you, your learners in your classroom are divided into 3 groups. The high-level learners are in every classroom. I doubt if we have any classroom where you have everybody as highest flyer. Also, you do not have a single classroom where everybody inside that class are above, below 20%. That for every subject, they all score below 20%. I don't think that classroom exists. If that happens like that, it means there's something wrong with the learning experiences in that particular classroom. And so when you want to assess them, you assess these learners or students or children, as you call them, based on their learning styles. Remember, have into consideration that we have different children with different learning styles. We have the auditory learners, you have the visual learners, you have the kinesthetic learners, you have the interactive learners, you have the logical learners, so many of them. So when you want to assess them based on that style. I know in my school I use this differentiated strategy, especially differentiated learning strategy, especially for assessment. You see that sometimes when you ask a direct question, here they will write in sentences. Some children will write, but some will not be able to give you what you want. But then when you bring pictures, visuals, you introduce pictures, okay, where you have picture questions, like in, let's say composition. You give a picture composition. You find out that we have some children who would do it ordinarily. If you have talked about it, for example, if I'm teaching preposition in grammar, if I'm teaching preposition, and then I ask somebody to give me examples of preposition or use words, examples of preposition to make sentences. You see some children who can make them, some will not make. Okay, but when I bring pictures of where a bag or a book is under the table, on top of the table, beside the table, or a cat near the table, in between the table. You see them, because that is picture, visuals. Some children will make attempts, very wonderful attempts, and you see them. And when you ask them to talk orally, you assess them orally, you see them talking. Those children, I can base them as low-level learners, and I've assessed them like that. When I assess them like that, they've gotten the skills, the basic skills of preposition. I'm using preposition as my case study. They've gotten that basic skill already using differentiated learning. Why I'm telling somebody who is of the higher level learning, or who is a higher level learner, I just tell the person, give me list 15 examples of prepositions and use them to make sentences. Are you seeing it now? In differentiated learning, one thing is key. Let me make it clear, point clear here. One thing is key about differentiated learning. You do not change the objective. When your topic is preposition, for instance, the objective is that the learner should be able to define preposition, the learner should be able to give examples of preposition, the learner should also be able to use prepositional words in sentences, in everyday life. Use them. So you don't leave the objective. We are talking of the same, we are assessing these children based on the same topic, but using different means. I hope we are all following. Now, another way is that we can do what? Group them. Flexible grouping. Flexible grouping. That is one of the C's. That's where one of the C's of 21st century education come in. What is that? Collaboration. Collaboration. Differentiated learning gives room for collaboration, where they group themselves as a team and then they begin to discuss it. They begin to discuss it. They can replay it. Where is Onome? Onome is beside the table. Onome stands beside the table. Now Onome goes on, go under the table. Where is Onome now? Onome is under the table. We can group them. Bringing children of the same learning style. When we replay, what are we helping? Which category of learners are we helping at that point? We are helping the kinesthetic learners who want to move. Kinesthetic learners can never be on the same spot. They are not like the auditory learners. The kinesthetic learner wants to move parts of his body. And so when you say, Onome, sit on the table, where is Onome now? Onome is on the table. Onome, go behind your seat. Where is Onome? Onome is behind her chair. So these are ways we can make use of what? Flexible grouping. The another one is we can use varied content. When I mean varied content, different materials. It can be audio, it can be video. You can, after using audio, teaching orally in class, why don't you bring a video so that your visual learners will be able to see? Why don't you use flashcards? When you make use of flashcards, your visual learners will be carried along. And then use role play. When you use role play, your kinesthetic learners are carried along. And so, you see, you base all the children based on their learning styles and learning ability. And then we give differentiated assignments. Differentiated assignments. If I want to teach preposition, for example, I want to teach preposition now, and I want to give assignments on preposition. If I tell children of the higher level to write an essay, okay, describing an event or describing something using preposition in that essay. That's the higher level learner. And then I go to the middle level learner. I can tell the middle level learner to draw or paint, produce picture, create pictures for me. And then I can now go to my lower level learner. I can tell my lower level learner, play different examples of prepositions at home and send the video. We are all on the same page. Everybody is being carried along. And you see, nobody is having any difficulty in that job. The higher level learner knows what to do. If I tell the higher level learner, come and role play, say it orally, it's just, I'm not asking him. But the higher level learner will get home and begin to think how to get and describe something using a lot of prepositional words in his essay, in his composition, in his write-up. So I'm tasking the lower level learner, the higher level learner now. Then the average level learner say, draw pictures for me of preposition, create pictures. I can make it a collage, do a collage on different things showing preposition now skills. So all these are various ways we can use preposition strategies. We can use differentiated learning strategies rather. We can use differentiated learning strategies in our learning exercise experiences. Another one is scaffolding instructions. Scaffolding, what is scaffolding? If you look at where they are building, scaffold, what does scaffold do to people who are building buildings, especially story building or skyscraper? It helps the person get to that point. And that's what we do when we are learning. Scaffold your instruction. Help the child explain more. When you scaffold it to the lower level learner, the lower level learner will come up. Now, many people who are against differentiated learning will just be feeling, the lower level learner will always be up. And I say no. When you scaffold your instruction, somebody is in lower level this week, will not be in many lower levels, will move after 2-3 weeks to become an average level learner. And before the end of the term, the child is what? A higher level learner. So, learning stations is very good. As we resume, anything we are doing, for every subject, please have learning stations. Do not have your classroom the way we have our traditional classroom where the teacher's table is to the front and the children's tables and chairs are rows. No. Form learning stations that this child can move from session A to session B to learn something. Session A can have flashcards of preposition words. The child has been able to shoot different flashcards of preposition words. And then he moves to session B. Session B, he has another team there, and on the learning table, we are having sentence strips, where we use preposition to make simple sentences. That's learning stations. It's just table, it's not one big deal. Just put table and give it space. This is station A, the label is station B, station C. You can have up to 4 stations inside the classroom. If the children are not many, you can have just 2 stations. That's a learning station. And then, if there are bigger children, grown-ups, you move from there, you go to prepositional phrases or so. They learn that. That's another learning station that we can get. And then, you should have tiered assignments. Create assignments in different levels of difficulty, which I've been saying since. This will enable the children to work on the same concept, but at different angles. To work on the same concept, but different levels. And then, another strategy you can use is by giving flexible timetable. A timeline for Give flexible timeline. Do not give them the same time to finish up. Do not give them the same time to finish up. It will not help the low level learners. They might move ahead. The higher level learner might move ahead so quickly they finish up. Then give them other tasks while you help, while the other people work. We also have collaborative learning. Collaborative learning. That's another strategy we can use. Another differentiated learning strategy. Make children to learn together, to work together. How do you make them learn together? Give group assignments, give group projects. This helps their learning. When we bring group projects, you can give open-ended questions. That's another thing. Open-ended questions that will lead to group projects. Then these children will start bringing their ideas. They start bringing their ideas. When they bring their ideas, they will be able to get what they want. They'll be able to get what they want. They'll be able to give them exactly what they want. And then we have other examples like teacher feedback. As a teacher, you must have your feedback. No. See how these children are progressing. Look for the one that needs maybe scaffolding, the one that needs to be helped, where you have to meet the person after using one collaboration, teamwork, the person still needs help. Yeah. Look, the aim of differentiated learning is that every child must learn. That's the word. Every child must learn. Then you can give these children at various levels. Let's give them personalized goals. This is something I do in my school. The first week of school, make them state their goals. Those who are children, make them state their goals. And then we now discuss how to meet up with that goal. Remember, when these children set their goal, that's your goal too as a teacher. You should know that. That should be also your goal. And so since you have these goals, those who are bigger children, I make them write their goals. We write their goals. At the time we tie them, but this year we are planning to have a bulletin board in each class. Very easy to get a bulletin board. You can just paste cardboards and then you pin with a little gun, sticker gun. You can stick, the child writes his goal on the paper and then you stick that goal. And then not only that, you as a teacher should have goals for your children. What is the goal? The goal is your goal should be by the end of the first half of the term, Adamu that is on low level learner using differentiation should have moved to average level or higher level. And then you follow it up. When you have these personalized goals, you are able to meet up with the learner's needs. You'll be able to meet up because you'll be following all these goals up. Another thing again that I will add from here is that you should have time to reflect. Please, every point in time, reflect on your strategies. Any of these strategies, you can combine all the strategies, you can combine one or two strategies, you can make use of just one strategy, but please have time to reflect on them. Have time to reflect. Are you doing it? Are you making it? Are you making progress? When you reflect on them, then you can be able to, you will see how much it works. That your learners, the number of children who will fail, the percentage of failure in your class will reduce drastically. Finally, before I go, I want to look at, we talked about some of the reasons why teachers don't adopt differentiated learning strategies. And that's what I want to look at finally before I draw it to a close. I'll use just few minutes, then I'll wait for questions. One of the reasons why we said was that with the lack training, please, it is very, very important that you develop yourself at every time. The only thing that is constant is change. And so let's go for trainings. Let's go for professional trainings. Some cost money. I always tell people, the one that does not, that any free one will not give you everything. We are having a free training here, but you can, because of the time constraint, we cannot be able to give everything. We will just give you just bit by bit. But we can go for some paid professional trainings that will take 9 months, 6 months, and then you will get trained on that. Then another thing is what? Time constraint. Be an effective time manager. Be an effective time manager. Balance up. Using routines. Have a routine in your class. Routine helps to save time. When you make use of routines in your class, how to move from one class to another class, it helps to save time. Provide resources, learning resources. There are some that you can improvise. These are some of the things you can do. Then some classes that are large, I would advise that we give activities to those who are higher level, who are higher level learners. Those higher level learners are able to work on their own. They are able to work on their own. The average level learners cannot work on they cannot work on their own, but they are not completely down. So we can also help them using some scaffolding instruction to help them, and then we focus on the lower level learner. Standardized testing, yes, we can't change that. We have some standardized exams like SSC, the primary 6 exam, and what have you. But before that time, we can help these children from who are in lower level learners, at least get them to become average learners before we get to the standardized exam. Then have a meeting with your parents. Have a roundtable talk with your parents. Discuss this program as a school owners that are here. Discuss it with them so that they will be able to understand. We are moving your children. We are not taking your children and we are not demoting them, but we are scaffolding them to get using scaffolding method to get them to the top. When you do this, and with the help of God, we'll be able to get there. Thank you very much, and God bless you. So I'll be waiting for questions. If you have any questions.